Robert Kennedy, now the most protected man on earth because his brother was killed. His brother was the president. He was killed. He was executed publicly. And now Robert Kennedy is trying to be the president. He's a candidate for the presidency. And, you know, his brother was killed, so let's protect him. You would imagine that it'd be very, very difficult to get anywhere near Robert Kennedy. And, of course, he was executed in public again, this time by a Lebanese American called Sirhan Sirhan, who apparently, according to the story, walked up behind him, put a gun to the back of his head, in front of all his security staff and everybody, and the people who worked in the hotel, and the crowd that were actually, you know, at the event, and shot him, I think, twice in the head. And another guy got shot as well. And there are so many problems with that story. I mean, all the eyewitnesses said that Sirhan Sirhan was nowhere near him. Yeah, they did see him with a gun, but he was several feet away from him. He wasn't right behind him. And not just that during their encounter, Sirhan Sirhan was looking at him. They were face to face. He was never behind him at any point. And they found far more bullets at the scene than could have been held in the gun of Sirhan Sirhan. And just the basic idea that this guy could walk up to Robert Francis Kennedy and execute him in public with no opposition at all. Nobody even tried to stop him. And they certainly didn't stop him. And Robert Kennedy died. So that is a brief summary of what happened to the four most powerful and famous political rebels in the 1960s. They were all publicly executed in extremely problematic ways in terms of logistics and the story itself, and whether or not it actually makes any sense. And when four of them have been killed, people start saying, now these are not random crimes. This is probably one group of people who is capable of committing these crimes and is killing the people who pose a danger to the establishment. Military, CIA, people who've got their own theories about this. But it's much easier, or it certainly was much easier in the 60s for people to form their own opinions and say, nah, I don't believe this. Another lone gunman, another crazy guy just out to kill people, manages to assassinate this person. No, we don't believe it. We think it's one organisation, probably the CIA, who's killing them all. They're killing them all. And so this conspiracy theory was disseminated in the media to describe crazy fantasy. Anybody who suggests anything different from what we say, from what the politicians say on television, or what the news presenters say, or anything like that, they are conspiracy theories, and we need to ridicule them. And it became weaponized because nobody was believing the stories, and people were saying, no, I don't believe that. I think there are more people involved. Okay, then it's a conspiracy. Yeah, it's a theory. Yeah, so it's a conspiracy theory. Yeah, okay, then you're crazy. And that's basically what they did. So they changed the meaning in that sense from a theory about a conspiracy to being a fantasy. Unfortunately for them, and fortunately for anyone who likes to think and form their own conclusions and ask questions and look for details, is that the term itself, conspiracy theory, imploded, or has imploded over the last few years. So they've actually used it so much that they lost the ability to use it anymore, because they made it a synonym of crazy fantasy. And that's why we suddenly were introduced ad nauseum to the term collusion. When many of the major news outlets and organizations in America were telling the world that Donald Trump was basically working for Vladimir Putin. He was an employee of Vladimir Putin. And they were also coordinating with Julian Assange of WikiLeaks to steal the election. Basically, Donald Trump was a Russian spy, and so was Julian Assange. And they all worked for Vladimir Putin and the Kremlin and all that. They literally couldn't use the word conspiracy because they contaminated it so much that if they said, oh, there's a conspiracy between Vladimir Putin, people would automatically associate the word conspiracy with crazy fantasy. So they literally couldn't use it. They couldn't say conspiracy tonight on CNN because that would actually, in this case, be very honest. Because it was a theory. They had this conspiracy theory, a real conspiracy theory, a theory about a conspiracy between Putin, Trump, and Assange. Three totally disconnected people. But anyway, we'll just say that we've got no evidence, we've got no proof, we've got no records of it, we can't demonstrate it. No one can. In the end, the Mueller report found nothing. If any of these people are completely innocent, I don't know. But they found nothing, they demonstrated nothing, proved nothing. And they couldn't say, tonight, our conspiracy theory is, or tonight, the conspiracy, they couldn't use the word. So they started using the word collusion. And if you Google it, Google the word collusion, and then you'll get a description of it. Look at synonyms. And one of the first ones there is conspiracy. It's a direct synonym of the word conspiracy. And there was even a book written called Collusion. A book written by a guy called Luke Harding, an English guy that writes for The Guardian. And by all accounts, I haven't actually read it myself. I wouldn't dignify it, to be honest, by reading it. But by all accounts, it's a terrible book with zero evidence. And I've seen him in it giving a lengthy interview about the book in which he was completely unable to provide any evidence at all. The only thing he could say was that Donald Trump was in Moscow in 1986 with doing the Miss World competition, which he owned. He was the owner of it. And because he was in Moscow in 1986, that means he's a Russian spy in 2017. So bad luck for any of you people that went to the World Cup in Russia, because if you try to do anything important in 20 years, they can prove that you went to Russia at some point in your life, and therefore you're probably a Russian spy. So now they have a problem again where they've spent so long with these conspiracy theories, and that's what they really are, about Russia, that we're seeing on the other side now, not just the Democrats saying that Vladimir Putin is trying to steal the election and give the White House to Donald Trump, but now the Republicans and Donald Trump and his people, they're saying that the Russians are actually trying to steal the election and give it to the Democrats. So now you've got all these conspiracy theories that they're just throwing back and forth like a tennis ball, and people are in the middle and they don't know what to believe. So actually the term itself has imploded and lost its original meaning and the meaning that they gave to it.